My dad was born and raised here on the Miles River on Ferry Bridge Farm, which is like when you go over the Unionville Bridge, it's the first farm on your right. And so we were living in Washington, D.C. He was a Navy pilot in World War II and ended up in business in Washington and started bringing me back here when I was about 4 or 5. And I grew up listening to he was madly in love with this place and never got it out of his blood. And so we'd come back in the summers, and he built a little cottage at Legates Cove back when I was about 10 or 11. And then actually he moved us down here. My last year of high school I did at Easton. I started writing books. My first book came out in '99. I wrote 2 novels. They were both about the Eastern Shore, set here. The first one was called The Waterman, the second one, Good Counsel. Good Counsel is about a lawyer who's hiding out in Bosman, who's been indicted. And then the third book was a nonfiction book about Kirk Bloodsworth, who was a Cambridge resident who was the first death row inmate cleared by DNA. So I was starting to drift a little bit away from the law and into this writing career. I was actually approached by somebody who said, you know, there's a major gap in river advocacy programs. There's none on the Eastern Shore, which was astounding to me because I grew up, you know, always with the notion that Talbot County was it had more millionaires than any other county in the, you know, east of the Mississippi. It was, you know, a special place. And so I was asked if I'd be interested in starting a river advocacy program down here, and somebody had tried to start a Choptank Riverkeeper program here about a year before I did, and it failed. And they weren't, you know, we weren't sure whether it was the person or whether it was the community just wasn't prepared to support or interested in supporting a program like that. I didn't even really know what a riverkeeper was, to tell you the truth, except I knew that I loved these rivers. I knew they'd always been sort of a huge part of my imagination, and I always had a very strong environmental side. And so I thought, well, I don't know anything about environmental work. I don't really know what's going on down there lately, but I want to go back there, and this is a challenge. And I mean, we started a law firm in '84 in Washington, D.C., and people told us there's not room for another law firm, and we built a great law firm. And I thought, well, you know, I was really naive about it. I felt, well, I'm going to go down there, and everybody loves the rivers, and everybody's going to give me a big hug and give me their money, and we're going to try to, you know, make a difference. And I came down here and started the program, I think in October of '08, right around the time that the stock market lost about half its value. And so I knew that was going to be a challenge to raise money in that climate because everybody was scared to death. But, you know, gradually I was really delighted to see that the community, as I got the message out and began to talk to people about how important I think these rivers are and how much we need a program, people began to respond. And when I first came down here, the Hudson-Purdue case had really poisoned the atmosphere and had polarized, I think, environmental folks from agricultural folks, and yet, you know, agriculture is the single most important industry here. It's what gives this place its identity, gives us our rural beauty. I mean, it's essential that we keep it, we maintain it, and I'm committed to that, and our organization is committed to that. But at the same time, it's the biggest source of pollution for our rivers. So we had to try to figure out a way. How do we both reach out to the agricultural community, provide some value to them, help them find solutions, and yet stay true to our mission, which is when we're in Annapolis, you know, strongly advocating for regulations that are going to improve our rivers. And we've tried to do that. I mean, we've put in innovative practices at a dozen farms in our 4-county area, and other water improvement practices where we go out and identify the farm, build a relationship with the farmer, find the grant money, design a project, manage the project, install it, and that builds a relationship with that farmer, and that the word gets out. It's a small community. The farmers talk to each other, and it builds some trust. Then they get mad at us when we go to Annapolis and we lead help lead the fight for a phosphorus management tool, which is a stricter regulation on phosphorus. But we haven't. I mean, at least they see we have integrity. We're trying to find solutions. And when we did the phosphorus management tool, we talked to the farmers that we knew, and we asked them, what's going to work, what's not going to work. And we're doing the same thing right now with poultry litter, which is a huge issue. I think some of the younger farmers, and they may be the ones that are 50 or 40 today, right? But they appreciate that we have to fix these problems, and they want to try to do the right thing and help fix them. And the more that the farmers can find solutions that are palatable to them, the less chance it's going to be that things are going to get rammed down their throat. Most of the organizations like ours start with a group from the community that meets once a month, and then they decide they want to try to hire somebody half-time, but the board is there first, right? We sort of did this backwards, right? I mean, I came down here was trying to find some board members, trying to find some members, handing out T-shirts for memberships, and so we, as a result, I was able to sort of set the culture, and the people who came in, adopted it and improved on it and expanded it and made it, and did even a better job at it. So now I think we have an organization that could very well be here for a long time. I hope so.